Welcome back, everyone. So shoulder pain is extremely common. In fact, it is one of the problems that most of us are going to experience at some point in our lives. So for that reason, in today's video, I'm going to share with you my top exercises for treating basic shoulder pain, shoulder tendonitis, rotator cuff strains, shoulder impingement. A whole host of shoulder problems will successfully be treated with the exercises I'm going to show you today. I'm Burke, I'm a sports physical therapist, and I am happy you are here. You are going to learn some very practical exercises. These exercises I've divided into 3 separate phases, and the phases follow a typical progression of this injury from early stages when it is just very, very painful to the middle stage where things are starting to heal, but the shoulder is still not strong yet, up until some more advanced exercises if this is a chronic problem and you can handle these later stage exercises. They're really going to help you finish the rehab of your shoulder and get it all the way better. Now, a couple things to keep in mind. These exercises are going to be good for most types of shoulder pain, but not all. So if you start these exercises and they don't feel right to you, it's important that you go talk to your doctor or a local physical therapist who can help you customize this program to your needs. Also, expect it's going to take some time from when you start the exercises until you begin to feel improvement. I recommend you do mobility work every 3 or 4 hours for your shoulder. That doesn't mean you have to do a lot of them. You might only do 5, 6, 7, but you do need to do it frequently enough so that you are getting motion in your shoulder to help it recover and heal the best. The middle phase of exercise, this can be done once or twice a day. These are activation exercises. They're not particularly challenging for strong shoulder muscles, but when you are coming back from an injury, they can be enough, and therefore we're only going to do these once or twice a day. And then that last stage of exercises, we want to do that with some intensity, with some challenge. We really want to get your shoulder to be stronger, and that takes time, and we're going to do those exercises about 3 times a week. So good news. These exercises I'm going to share with you today are going to help with all of those problems. You have to do them progressively, and you have to do them for long enough. I am 100% confident in your ability to work through the exercises, find the ones that you can tolerate, build on those until you can do the full set. So without further ado, let's dive into it, starting with phase 1. There are 6 moves in our first phase, and these moves are really about motion and activating your shoulder blades. We're going to start with something called a pendulum arm swing. I'm going to lean on something. The seat of a chair works just fine. I'm going to let my painful arm dangle, and I'm going to move my hips to help my arm make a small circle just like that. I can go one direction, and then I can reverse it and go the other. Try to relax your arm as much as possible and use your body to make the movement for you. While we're in that same position, we're going to do some bent shoulder rows, just like that, letting your arm dangle and then pulling your elbow up at the same time that you try to bring your shoulder blade towards your spine. This is a bent over row. Next move we're going to do is called a tabletop arm slide. Let's raise the table up a little bit. Resting your arm on a table or a counter, bend your body forward to slide your arm away from you and then towards you, just like that. If you're doing this at an office desk, for example, and you're on a chair with some wheels, you can get your arm in position and then push your chair or stool back to get the same thing. What we're trying to do is we're just trying to get blood flow in your shoulder with this move. To help you mobilize your shoulder into rotational directions, we have 2 of them. We have external rotation and internal rotation. I'm just going to use this trekking pole. You could use a broom handle, you could use a cane, anything like that will work. Rest your hand or hold the cane lightly with one hand, and with your elbow close to your body, gently use the pole to guide your hand to the outside. If you've done a good job of keeping your arm close to your body, you're going to end up with your arm rotated out like that. To get internal rotation, the move that we do is a behind the back stretch. So I'm going to take this hand and I'm going to gently hold my hand with my opposite arm and then start to pull my hand across my body like I'm going to bring it to my opposite hip at the same time that I start to fold it up behind myself. So that move looks like this. Now what's normal for both of those, for external rotation, that's the same motion we need to reach our hand over our shoulder like this. And I'd like to see those finger blades below the spine of your shoulder blade. And when we do our internal rotation, I'd like to see them get up to the spine of our shoulder blade. So that's what we're working towards. So the last move in this first phase are shoulder blade squeezes and circles. That means I'm basically going to move my shoulders in a circle like this, and I'm going to squeeze them, bringing them towards the center of my back by firing my shoulder blade muscles. And that's it for phase one. Let's move on to phase two. Phase two is activation phase. And so I have this arm bike. I'm going to use this for my activation because I have it. If you don't have an arm bike, no problem. You can do actually the moves from phase one and have that be your warm up. But since I have this, I'm going to go ahead and use it. And I want to do about 2 minutes up to 5 minutes of arm biking both directions, forward and backward, as my warm up for phase two. I'm coming over to the wall for my next two. These are active motion exercises. The first one, I'm going to stand with my back to the wall, raise my arms overhead, leading with my thumbs until I can touch the wall with my elbows straight and my arms close to my head. I don't want my arms to get too wide like this just yet. So this is move number one, arms overhead. Move number two is once you're in this position, now we're going to bend the elbows and slide your arms down into a goalpost position and then back up. And this is a lot of energy and work in my shoulder blades. I want to be really clear that my arms are going up because my shoulder blades are rotating up. That's important. Let's head over to the Stroops band station for our next exercise. This is where we're going to begin to work on our rotation. I've got two directions of rotation. I have that same internal rotation from before, and then I have external rotation, which I'll do with my back to the camera. So while we're facing you, I'm going to start with internal rotation. Elbows at 90 degrees, and it's against my rib cage. I'm going to teach you two methods for doing this one. The first is called a reactive isometric, and it's where I like to start with these rotational exercises. Once you're in position, lightly hold the handle. There's no need to grip it too hard. And then step away from the anchor. And at this point, the anchor is now pulling very hard to pull my hand away from my body, and I'm just holding it in position. So this is with little tension. There's a lot of slack in that band. And then this is with more tension, and I can feel quite a bit of good work happening in my shoulder. What I love about this is because your shoulder is not moving, oftentimes you can do this in the earlier phases without a whole lot of pain. So once you've accomplished maybe 5 to 10 of those, then we'll do some active ones if it's okay on your shoulder. If it's painful, then you might need to push that into phase 3. We'll do the same thing facing the other direction for external rotation. Reactive isometric, step away from the band, keep that position nice and strong. And once you've done a set of those, activate more dynamically. So there's a couple more that I like to do. I like to do a forward flexion, which is going to be holding my hand at my side and stepping forward. And this one is going to look like this. And we can do that with our palm facing backwards. I can also have my palm facing forward, or I can lead with my thumb like I'm carrying a piece of luggage or a grocery bag. And this is working the front of your shoulder. Next, we're gonna do the same thing with our hand, this time extended at our side, stepping away, and then back. This is working our pec, it's working our lat. For this next one, I've grabbed some little 2-pound weights, and we're gonna do a move called scaption, where I'm basically going to raise my hands, leading with my thumbs, with my arms not right in front of me, but out to the side just a little. So I'm gonna come up to 90 degrees and then lower. This is going to be a bit more challenging for you for sure. If it's too much to jump right to a little bit of weight, just do this motion with arm weight only, that's fine. While we have these light weights, we're gonna also do some bicep curls and some tricep kickbacks. This is a basic bicep curl. I'm doing this with my palm up, and then kick back. I'm going to bend my knees and hips, keeping my back straight, lift my elbows behind me, and press the weight back. Keeping my shoulder blades pressed inward, moving towards each other as I do this. For these next few, we're going to use the table, or at home you'll use your bed or a sofa, something that you can lay on. First one is called external rotation and side lying. I'm just going to rest my upper arm on my body with my elbow bent about 90 degrees, and I'm going to lift my hand towards the ceiling, keeping my upper arm against my rib cage, and then slowly come down. This is one you can do with a neutral hand position, leading with your knuckles like I'm doing here. You can also rotate this so you're leading with your thumb, and this is in a little more external rotation. It's very helpful to come back slowly. Next one we're gonna do is laying with our arm hanging off the edge of the bed, and I'm going to bring this arm straight elbow up and out to the side, and then slowly come back. And then I'm going to do the same thing with a steeper angle, bringing it up a little bit closer towards my ear, somewhere maybe midway. And that's what that looks like. And I can do this again with my palm facing the floor, which is a neutral position, or with my palm facing headward, my thumb moving towards the ceiling, which is in external rotation. And then I'm going to bring this arm up into a row, pulling my shoulder blade towards my spine. And then I'm going to row and rotate, and then slowly reverse it. Folks, that's it for phase 2. I have one more phase for you. If you've been successfully able to do every exercise in phase 1 and phase 2, then you are ready to try phase 3. Doesn't mean they're all going to work right away for you. You may have to spend some time in them before you can get them comfortable and strong. But I do think your shoulder is going to be way happier when you can work through this next phase of exercises for additional health and protection of your shoulder. Let's jump into it. Last phase of this series. So these next two are D2 patterns, flexion and extension. I'm gonna grab some light TheraBand, anchor my uninvolved side close to my hip, hold the band with my painful or involved side, and then I'm basically going to pull that band apart, bringing this arm up into this overhead position and then down. This is called D2 flexion, and it's important that you go controlled and slow through the motion. And then to get extension, I can loop this band around something, and then I can pull this down so that I'm starting in that same position here, and then I'm going to pull this down towards my hip and back. This is D2 extension. For this next one, we're going to use a power band. And if you don't have all these different kinds of bands, that's fine. You can just order some basic TheraBand and that's gonna work pretty well for you. But since I have this, I really do like using these different bands. This one is just a big loop. I'm gonna loop that around my ladder bar, and then I'm gonna get this elbow at 90 degrees, put some tension on it coming from the side, and then I'm gonna work on elevating my shoulder like that. This is active, dynamic internal rotation, and then I can flip around and do the same thing going the other direction. With my band coming from across my body, now I'm in external rotation. Same thing, I'm gonna do some active, dynamic elevation with the band coming up from across myself. Show you what that looks like from this angle. And there we are right there. Ooh-wee. That's a good one. Next, we're gonna work our serratus muscle. The serratus is a super critical muscle that helps control the shoulder blade. So to activate our serratus, I'm gonna use now one of these little loops, put it in between my hands, and pull that out so that my forearms are more or less parallel. And then keeping them parallel as much as I can, I'm gonna raise my hands like I'm putting a box on a shelf. So that's how that one looks. And I can really feel that activating that serratus anterior, which starts on the inside of my shoulder blade, covers the back side of the ribs, and attaches to the rib cage in the front there. Shoulder extension is next. I have the power band already rigged, so I'll just use that. I'm gonna take a loop, hold of the loop with both hands, and then pull until my hands are just at my sides with my elbows straight. So this is shoulder extension. Anytime you do shoulder extension, anytime you're bringing your arm back against resistance, it's really important to get your shoulder blades back. Don't let your hands go back and your shoulders round. We want the shoulders to be in good posture and strong alignment. Okay, for this next one, we're gonna do what's called a push plus. And I'm gonna use this box right here to demonstrate this. With your trunk straight, like you're doing a push-up or a plank, relax your shoulder blades while keeping your elbows straight to let your body sink or sag a little, and then use your shoulder blades to press your body backwards. So this motion is being generated from the motion of my shoulder blades, not from bending my elbows like we would during a push-up. Once you can do this elevated, go ahead and get onto the floor and do this from a position on the floor. You could do it from your knees first. Same thing, elbows stay straight. Press those shoulder blades away from your center of your back, and then relax towards the center of your back, and eventually progress to a full push-up position. I grabbed a ball for this next exercise. We're gonna do some wall circles with the ball. So get yourself a soft ball, find a wall that you can press into. Stagger your stance. So your painful side, that leg is behind you. And then lean your hip into it to get into a strong position, and then make some slow circles with your straight arm into the ball, into the wall. You can go up and down. You can go side to side, and then circle both directions. I just have 2 more exercises for you for this third phase. Thanks so much for taking the time to check these out. I hope these are helpful for helping you recover from shoulder pain or injury. If you have a story to share about your shoulder, leave it in the comments section. And as always, thanks for joining me. Here we go with our last 2 exercises. We're gonna do a bit of a dip. This is called a press down, and I'm gonna use this bench for this exercise. How this one works is I like to start sitting, and I'll put my hands here, and I'm just going to press my palms into the bench or chair. By doing that with my elbows straight, I'm creating a little bit of a downward motion in my shoulder blades. And if that's easy, with my feet under my knees, I can shift my hips off the bench so that I can sink a little lower and get a little bit of deeper range of motion. If that's also easy, then I can walk my feet away from my body until I get to the right distance where I feel I am challenged. And then the last exercise, you may not have this piece of equipment. This is a rebounder. We're gonna do some rebounder throws with a little weighted med ball. This is a very, very common sport rehab move to do. I'm gonna turn this. So what I have here is I have a 2-pound weighted medicine ball, but I'm gonna throw this into the rebounder. And what this is doing for me is it's starting to help me recover that kind of throwing motion. And when I catch this, my muscle has to fire quickly to change direction to throw it again, which is a ballistic plyometric type movement for the shoulder. So rebounder throws are great. Well, folks, there you go. I hope this has been helpful. If you need help with another rehab related topic, please leave a comment in the comment section below. As always, thank you for coming, and we'll see you next time.